Hey guys, today we're going to talk about what we started yesterday, which was converting into vertex form by completing the square. Only now, for today's examples, we're going to be looking at examples where the a, the 2, like for example, I just underlined the 2, the a value is greater than 1, and that's going to change a couple of the steps as we convert to convert to vertex form. So, if you remember from yesterday, your first step is to get your C value, the 170, over to the other side. So you subtract 170. You now have y minus 170 equals 2x squared plus 36x. Now, when your A value is greater than 1, like in this case you have a 2 here, what you're going to do is you're going to take out that number that's in front as a GCF. It's not the complete GCF. But just you're going to take out that a value. So it'd be times x squared plus 18x. Okay, like the full GCF would have been 2x. But we're just going to take out that 2 because we can't complete the square unless you have just a regular 1x squared. Okay, so I'm bringing everything down. And what you're going to do is you're going to complete the square in the parentheses. So what that means is you're going to take half of this b value and square it like we've been doing. 18 divided by 2 is 9 squared. Is going to be 81. Now 81 is going to get added in the parentheses here. So I'm going to do it in green so you could see. I'm adding 81 in the parentheses. But on the other side, you're not going to add 81. On the other side, you're going to add 162. And the place where I'm getting 162, I'll do it in green also, plus hold on, let me just go back for a sec. I don't have enough room. So it's y minus 170, and it's at plus 162. And the place where I get the 162 is that this 81 wasn't really an 81. It was really 81 being multiplied by 2. So whatever the number in front of the parentheses times the number in the parentheses, whatever that product is, 2 times 81 is 162, that's really what you added to the right side. You didn't add 81, you really added 162. So you have to balance it out by adding 162 to the left. And that's the new step. From here, it's all the same as yesterday. So you're going to continue by simplifying on the left. You'll have y, and so minus 170 plus 162 is going to give you minus 8 equals 2 times, and remember, this is a perfect square trinomial. So you're going to express it as a binomial squared. I see 9 plus 9 is 18, and 9 times 9 is 81, so it's x plus 9. And then remember that you're solving for y. You're not finding roots here, you're solving for y. So you isolate y, you add 8, and that takes you into vertex form. 2 times x plus 9 squared plus the 8. And so the new different part of this is that now your a value here, the 2, is telling you about the width of the parabola, that it's not just a 1 x squared. The a value is 2, telling you that your parabola is getting narrower. It's a vertical stretch. Okay, so try it now with example 8, and we'll do some examples in class today also. If you look at example 8, we have, I'm going to move the 73 over. I'm going to subtract 73. So I have y minus 73 equals negative 3x squared plus 30x. So again, my a value is greater than 1, so I'm going to pull that number out as a GCF. I'm going to take out negative 3 times x squared, and that's not going to be plus, that's going to be minus, because I need a negative times a negative is a positive, so this would be minus 10x. Now I'm going to complete the square. That means I'm going to take half of negative 10 and square it. So it's going to be negative 5 squared is 25. I'm adding 25 in the parentheses. I'm going to do that in blue. But then, on the other side, I am not going to be adding 25. I am going to be, I'll do this, I'll show you, whatever this multiplies to equal, that's what I add on the left. And since it's a negative, I'm actually not adding, I'm subtracting. So negative 3 times 25 comes out to be negative 75. So what I did is I really subtracted 75 on the right. because 25 times negative 3 is negative 75. So on the left, I have to balance it out. I'll do that in blue also by also subtracting 75. So on the left side, I now have y minus 148, right, equals negative 3 times, and you're going to express that as a binomial squared. So 5 plus 5 is 10, 5 times 5 is 25, but it's a negative 10, so x minus 5. And now you isolate y, you add 148 to the right, to both sides. To move it to the right, y equals negative 3 times x minus 5 squared plus 148. Remember what information vertex form gives us? It tells us the coordinates of the vertex. So if I asked you the vertex coordinates are, remember it's a shift to the right 5, so it's positive 5 and it's up 148. And the negative 3 tells me that it's open downward because it's negative. The a value is negative, and the 3 is that absolute value is getting bigger, so it's getting more narrow. And so it's a vertical stretch. I'll put VS for vertical stretch. Okay, we'll do one more. Remember, we're only doing this when the a value here is greater than 1 or something other than 1. So in example 9, your a value is negative 1. And that's why you're going to have to follow similar steps. So we're going to have, first move the 9, subtract 9. So I have y minus 9 equals negative x squared plus 8x. Since I have a negative here, I have to pull out a negative 1 as my GCF. So it would be negative 1 times x squared minus 8x to get me back that positive. Okay, now I'm going to complete the square. That means I'm going to take half of negative 8 and square it. So that's going to be negative 4 squared, which is 16. I add 16 in the parentheses. I'll do that in green. But on the left side, I am not adding 16. Instead, I just multiply these two, and whatever I get, that's what I put on the left. I'm getting negative 16 when I multiply negative 1 times 16, so I'm going to do minus 16 on the left. Now they're balanced. So I simplify, y minus 9 minus 16 is y minus 25 equals negative 1, and then you express this as a binomial squared. 4 plus 4 is 8, 4 times 4 is 16. There's a negative in the middle, so it'll be x minus 4 squared. Now I just add 25 to isolate the y, and I have y equals, I can make the 1 invisible. I could just put negative x minus 4 squared plus 25. So that's vertex form. That tells me the coordinates of the vertex are positive 4, positive 25, and the negative in front tells me that the parabola is open down. And its width is it's like your standard width of the parent function, which is x squared. All right, so we'll do more of these in class. See you later.